Welcome to the Nightly Rant. I'm Mike.
And I'm Toria.
This is the show where we talk about the awful things that have happened in our day, the awesome things that have happened in our day,
and all the things in between.
Thanks for listening, and we truly hope you enjoy. You know, we always talk about how you have an instinct about someone and it's right the vast majority of the time.
Talking about first impressions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know how I always tell you that, like, generally speaking, if I dislike somebody at first,
yeah,
I always end up disliking them. Even if I give them a chance and move them over to the I like them side for a while, they always end up back on the I didn't like them.
Well, I was thinking about that on Saturday. That, I get these first impressions of people, and every single time I try to give them the benefit of the doubt, it bites me in the ass.
Yeah. You end up back. I mean, there's people from our meetup days who my initial online impression of them was extremely negative.
And it's still negative.
And then they came, and I was like, all right, I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt here, and, you know, I'm going to accept that, you know, maybe I just had a mistaken interpretation of the events, and they're not really like that. And then they turned out to be, in person even, exactly like that. It may have taken a while, but it came out.
Yep.
And then there's the people who, like, they give you a really crappy impression online. And then when you meet them, and then they go crazy, like, you know, that's how bad their impression is. Then when you meet them, they just continue to perpetuate how they were online.
Right.
And then they try to back it off and be like, oh, I didn't, you know, I'm sorry, you know, I didn't really know you. You're not such a bad person after all. Blah, 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 blah. You know, and they blow smoke up your ass the whole time. They just fucking blow smoke up your ass.
And it's all a lie. Because, I don't know. If your first interaction with somebody is you being a giant fucking asshole, and that's your best foot, because people always give their first impression.
They say put your best foot forward.
Best foot forward. What can you expect from the rest of your interactions with that person?
Well, right. That's how I feel about it. But, like, in a very specific example that we had, about 2 years ago now.
Yeah.
With a particular person who was involved in the local political scene. And our initial interaction with this person was quite negative.
Right.
And then we had an in-person interaction, which was also quite negative.
If you describe the first one as quite negative, I would describe the second one as very negative.
And then the person talked to us, kind of decided, oh, you're not so bad after all, and then asked to have something explained to them. So we took the time to meet and explain something to this person, piece by piece, and get them to actually admit that they agree with our side. Like, they literally said they agreed. It was not, you know, they didn't infer it. They actually said they agreed. Yes. And then the very next day...
I feel duped.
And the very next day was talking crap about what they said they agreed with.
Right.
And so, you know, then there were some issues after the fact where he got in our face at a city council meeting, and I told him we don't want to have anything to do with you, stay away from us, don't ever talk to us again. And then he decided to escalate that into calling the police and telling the police that we slashed his wife's tires. Well, first of all, we didn't even know where he lived. Second of all, we don't even know who his wife is. But most importantly of all, now that we've gotten rid of the minor details, and we've gone from number 3 reason why to number 2 reason why it wouldn't be us to the main reason why, We don't commit crimes and slash people's tires.
It seems like my least favorite thing to do.
We don't need... We literally asked this guy to stop talking to us. That's what we did.
Why would I have an online disagreement with someone? And that's really what it was. Like 99% online disagreement. And then go, one, find out where this person lives. Which we both know I could, but why? Why? And then go and stab tires.
Yeah, that's the part
Why
that
is
doesn't
that
make
a choice
sense.
I would make in my life?
Yeah, it makes no
It
sense.
isn't.
No. Makes no sense. But, you know...
So this dude's obviously a scumbag.
Well, I mean, and that's how we felt about it. We felt that he was a scumbag. And what ends up happening? What ends up happening? We're at breakfast the other morning, and the page that we put together to make sure people knew not to vote for this guy receives a message from a woman who starts telling us that this particular person is in jail in San Bernardino County, and that they're in jail basically for weapons violations.
And because he's been beating the shit out of his wife for the last 13 years.
And because he's been beating the hell out of his wife for 13 years. And we're like, how do you know this? And she goes, well, I'm his mother-in-law. And then we proceeded to look it all up. And
No, and I verified it.
Yeah.
100%.
And it's very true. So, yeah, it was one of those things where, like I said, didn't like the guy, decided to give the guy the benefit of the doubt, only to get kicked in the teeth and turn out to not like the guy. And
Right.
Now it turns out that he was worse than we thought.
Well, and what's interesting is learning this about this person now kind of puts the pieces together. Like, why would somebody, after you told them to leave you alone and not speak to you again, call the police and say you slashed their tires? What triggers that lunacy? Well, he probably got mad, went home and slashed his own wife's tires, and then needed somebody to blame for it later.
Exactly. Anger.
He probably tried to file a police report so he wouldn't have to pay for the tires.
Yeah.
Like, it's like the clouds parted.
Well, and don't forget,
Sky is clear.
Don't forget, because you heard on speakerphone, I was standing right over there. Don't forget, when the police officer called, the police officer was like, yeah, I didn't think that you would do that, but, you know, we're required to follow up.
Right.
Which now, when you think about it,
tells you that other things had been reported.
how many times had they been to his house for issues? You know?
Or how many times had he done similar things to other people?
Yeah, like they knew something.
Right.
Because it's not because they knew me.
No.
So...
If it was police from this city, it might be because they knew you.
But that's bad.
Bad.
Like, they just knew because he filed lots of false police reports, apparently.
Right.
Or something to that effect. Maybe. I mean, it's just conjecture.
Just sketchy in general.
But that kind of thing goes on all of the time, and it's why when people get on my case and say, well, you know, how can you just decide that you're going to like or not like somebody and then stick to it? I'm like, this is why.
Trust the feeling.
This is why you got to trust your gut. Well, that's the thing. Those same people would be the ones giving you advice when you were trying to decide what to do about something, to trust your gut.
Well, and it's not.
But when you're trusting your gut, they're questioning that.
It's not like I decided I didn't like him because of the color shirt he was wearing.
Right.
I decided I didn't like him because every single interaction we had with him made me so uncomfortable.
He was creepy.
There was something wrong there the whole time, and I couldn't put my finger on it. And I remember telling you that, like, after when he yelled at you in public thing happened, that there was something that wasn't right about his story.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Now I know what it is.
Well, yeah, that's a good point, though, because he yelled at me in public in front of the chief of police. Like, who does that? That's really stupid.
Well, and the chief of police was also there when you told him to leave you alone at the city council meeting.
Exactly. Like, I don't know. The guy was an interesting.
He was a loon bag.
Yeah, interesting character. But see, if you want to know who we're talking about,
because we're more than happy to tell you, it's public record.
You know, it's public record, and we've actually had personal contact with this person before this incident that we're talking about, and we're going to talk about that on the Nightly Rant Uncensored, which is only available on imzoo.com. So head on over there, subscribe, and you can listen to this and much more wonderful, amazing content.
Because in a normal show, I restrain my bad language. So if you want to hear all of my colorful metaphors,
exactly,
that's the place to go.
So that's what you can do to hear the rest of this discussion, because we're done with this discussion here. What we're going to talk about right now is the fact that this Judge Kavanaugh guy got confirmed, and there's all, as predicted, there's outrage. You know, people are all up in arms, and they're saying how they're going to vote against Republicans in November, and
I've seen more people saying they're going to vote for Republicans.
The funny part is the polls are saying that the Republicans are going to come out in droves and vote because they're worried about the threat. So, right. You know, we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. And as far as confirming him, I mean, I still say they should have withdrew his nomination because, I mean, you don't know whether to believe him or not believe him, but like, I got into some Twitter discussions today that just were amazing. I mean, there's a Canadian guy in there talking crap and telling me that I'm a Republican drone and da-da-da-da-da, and I'm like, first of all, you know, you've never yet asked me what my opinion is on the situation. I merely corrected you when you said that what Dr. Ford said was factual and had been corroborated.
Right.
I corrected you on that. I told you that no, it has not been corroborated. Therefore, it cannot be called factual. End of story. That doesn't say whether I agree that he should have been confirmed or not. That doesn't come through that at all.
So, this wasn't like she wants him, like, charged for molesting her kind of thing. It was just the Senate deciding if he'd assaulted her, because if he'd assaulted her, then he wasn't fit for the job.
Yes.
What an uncomfortable job interview.
No, but it's not a job interview. It's an investigation.
I know.
Even when there aren't things like that, it's an investigation. They're asking questions to see if stuff like that comes out. It's not the same as a job interview.
It's just a different kind of job interview. He's technically interviewing for a job while he's being investigated for a job.
Yes, it's different. But I think that I would have withdrawn his nomination just because you can't prove what he had to say and you can't prove what she had to say. Nobody corroborates either one of them. But the only thing I will say, he talked about these drinking games, and people are making fun of him, saying those are not the names of drinking games, blah, 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 blah. And I mean, our own friend made that comment, and the reality is, apparently someone from his high school taught some people at a college this drinking game called the Devil's Triangle, and it was like quarters. Yep. And yeah, so clearly he was telling the truth when he said that, and everyone jumps to conclusions because, you know, everybody was there and they all know the truth.
Yep.
And that's why I say, I've said this for 2 years, let's stop jumping up and down and screaming at the top of our lungs, because as we do that, the truth is coming out and we're missing it because we're too busy yelling and screaming. How about we stay calm, because you know what? No matter what, it's going to take 2, 4, 6 weeks to get through the process. So you have 6 weeks. Either way, you might want to make sure you have the strongest argument going in. And you don't have the strongest argument by coming in with some information, going away, coming back with some more information, going away, coming back with more information, going away. All that does is it looks like it makes it look like what you're doing is testing the waters. You're bringing your theory. Oh, well, they complained about this, and this. Let's plug those holes. Then you plug those holes. Oh, well, now they complain about this, and this. It's kind of like honestly, it's what you get when you do a bodybuilding show. It's the kind of feedback you get. You need more mass in your legs. You need more conditioning. You need more of this. You need more of that. You need less of this. You need less of that. And then you follow that program. But the problem becomes that's what they think visualizing in their head. When you put all of those things together, you might come out with something very undesirable. So you have to think about, well, if I do this, then this is going to happen. Well, it's the same thing here. They have to consider, they should be considering all the options. And that's why I say they should have pulled the nomination, because they can't prove it either way. But back to my Twitter conversation. Dude, so the Canadian dude was kind of nasty. Then some other person is like the same kind of thing, you know. Oh, well, you don't get to say that people, what people remember and don't remember, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I never said anything about what anybody remembers. I merely corrected the person who said that the facts had been corroborated, because they have everything she said. Not a single thing has been corroborated. But now we have his Devil's Triangle thing has been corroborated. So if you want to do it based on a who's most credible at the moment, he wins.
Right.
I mean, but that's not how I would do it. I wouldn't do it that way. Just making that clear. I don't think one thing is enough.
Why can't they just, instead of jumping up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down for 6 weeks, why can't they be like, oh shit, that's quite the accusation. Let's investigate. Find out what happened.
Exactly. From the very beginning.
6 weeks devoted to finding out all of the information and present it all at once.
From an unbiased source. As unbiased as it can be.
I think you should have multiple sources compiling the information, because that gives you the best chance of probably having people from both sides.
That's actually been the argument made about the special prosecutor thing, special counsel, is that they should never, it should always, both sides, the majority and the minority, should always pick a single person. And they should have a dual investigation going on. That their staff is firewalled from their staff, except that they share all the info back and forth, and they're required to. And anything that one side doesn't share with the other side can't be used in defense or prosecution of the situation.
Right.
It's null and void because you didn't share it. So it's bad evidence. It's thrown out.
Makes sense.
I think if they did that, you'd actually get the truth. That's why they don't do it.
Or you'd get closer to the truth. But the truth should be the goal. Like, it's just ridiculous that the truth is not the goal here.
Well, yeah, because here's my thing. Okay? So far, in my personal opinion, he has made some good decisions about regulations to get rid of and treaties to rethink and stuff like that. I think he has. But the reality is, if this guy is as corrupt as he seems, he should not be the president. And I'm also not sure, to tell you the truth, that any kind of impeachment hearings is a good idea. You want to know why?
Why?
How long has this investigation gone on so far?
2 years.
Yeah. So, how long do you think an impeachment hearing is going to take? At least 2 years, right? Mm-hmm. So why not just vote his ass out in 2 years?
I saw a funny meme earlier. That was the three of the people that were anti-Judge Kavanaugh. Mm-hmm. And one of them was Dianne Feinstein, and I don't know who the other two were, so I guess it's moot. And it was saying how they defended Clinton when all these rape allegations came out about him, etc., 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 and they said it was ridiculous, and then ended up not voting to impeach him. But it's an allegation from one single person coming out about this guy, and they're all up in arms about it.
Yeah, it's kind of hypocritical.
Can we have some consistency? If a rape allegation is the worst thing in the entire world, I'm not saying it's not, I'm not saying it is. For the sake of conversation, a rape allegation is the worst thing in the world. Then you need to treat all of them the same way.
I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
I think honestly that the only way that you can have a fair and just society is if the rules that are there. I mean, first of all, I think there's too many rules, but that's a different story for another day. But with the rules that are there, because we always talk about how, regardless of what our ideology is, we got to play with the system we're in, right? The rules that are there should be enforced equally no matter who you are. I don't care if you're black, white, Mexican, Asian, Korean, which is Asian, man, woman, child. It shouldn't matter. It should be enforced the same exact way for everyone.
Exactly.
And tradition should play a much less important role, because tradition, okay, example, so many presidents have given their tax returns. Why won't he? Well, you know what? That's just tradition. There's no rule that says he has to. If you want there to be a rule that says he has to, then you got to make the rule. But there's no rule. So is he playing within the rules? Yeah, he is. Why does that make him corrupt? That he doesn't want you to know about his finances? You're assuming what's behind there. What could be behind there is that he's only worth $100,000. That could be what's behind there. You know what I'm saying? Like this is a guy who wants to talk about how big his dick is. Okay? That's who he is. He talks about the size of their feet, and you know what that means, right? And I've got the biggest feet in the room. Shut the hell up, you little pencil-dicked geek. Like, knock it off. Like, that's ridiculous.
Nothing that orange or that old has a big penis.
It's ridiculous. And I mean, why talk about it? You're running for president. Why are you talking about the size of your penis and other people's penises?
Right.
It's ridiculous. Completely and totally and utterly ridiculous. And what was he going to say?
Ridiculous.
Was he going to say I was expecting him in the general election to say, well, you got to vote for me because I'm the only candidate with a penis.
I'm sure he said it.
Like, ridiculous. It's just stupid. And like, you gotta hold him to the same standards that you hold everyone else to.
Just your luck at that point, Hillary Clinton would have whipped out her penis and everybody would have been traumatized.
I suppose that's possible. I'm with you on that. It has to be, the rules have to, if they're there, they have to be enforced equally and fairly across all walks of life, not pick and choose. And I mean, I told you how, when I was director of technology, how I handled the blocking of the internet when we first started it. It had not been a thing before. We put this firewall in with content control, and guess what? There were websites that our CEO was blocked from. The only people who had wide open access was me and my team, and for that, my network director had to set up the firewall to send me an email on a daily basis that I could review to see what people from my team were looking at. Because I can tell the difference between researching an issue where you needed to go to a somewhat sketchy website because of it, and you're going to a somewhat sketchy website because you're gross and disgusting.
Watching internet porn?
Yeah. Gotcha. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was an easy tell. There was an easy tell there. So, like, I'm a big believer of fair and equal distribution of the rules. It should apply to everyone. It's like I say to you, what do I always say to you about the house? If we want the kids to be following the rules with the dishes, we have to follow the rules with the dishes. If we want the kids to keep things clean, we have to keep things clean. I mean, it's a common thing. And the reality is, let's face it, it even gets down to the two of us. If I don't do my part, then you don't want to do your part. And when you don't do your part, I don't really want to do my part. So it even gets down to the granular, just the two of us.
Yep.
And that's why, you have to be on the ball about the crossover stuff, but your own stuff is your own stuff. You get to be who you are. I don't get to tell you who to vote for, what music to listen to, what TV shows to like and not like. That's your thing. But if there's a TV show that I watch that completely offends you, I'm watching it in private. Not going to watch it with you around. Because that would be violating your personal rights. You don't have to be subjected to that. And for me to say, oh, go in the other room, that's the same thing. I might as well just play it. I'm forcing you to go somewhere you don't want to be.
Right. Yes.
I could just put headphones on. I don't even have to leave the room. I could put headphones on and put it on my phone and watch. You would never be offended by that. I'd be still right here talking to you.
It's true.
And that's what I think more people in society and in individual relationships need to do. Is treat each other with some respect.
Like, for a while you were watching a couple of war shows. I can't watch them. They really bother me.
War shows?
You were watching something about the war in Afghanistan or something, and it was...
Oh, yeah. It's a war against ISIS.
I can't watch this.
It's a war against
and I went
ISIS.
to bed because you
It's
wanted
pretty
to
awesome.
watch it. And it was fine.
Yeah, and then I watched it till like 2 a.m. that night.
Yeah.
And didn't fall asleep.
And now you can continue to just watch it. That's the only show I can think of that fits what you're saying right now.
Yeah, no, good point. But that's the
not,
point is
yeah.
I don't want to offend you. And you do the same thing for me. You'll say, like, is it okay if I keep watching the show? Or does this bother you? Or anything like that. I mean, you're really good about that.
Well, I know I watch things that you don't particularly like. So if I'm watching it, usually I'll wait until it's the end of the episode and then I'll ask if you want to watch something else.
That's fair, and it's a nice thing to do, and I think it's a great way to handle things, and that's how people should handle things. But that shows we have respect for each other, and that is what I think is lacking in society. There's just no damned respect.
It's true.
And there's the other side of that, where people like us who are sarcastic immediately get thrown into a crazy bucket because, you know, like not crazy as in your cuckoo crazy, but when I say crazy bucket, we bring out the people who go, oh my God, you're so rude, blah, 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 blah. Well, what happened to not judging people and to listening to what they have to say? Where did that go? I mean, you preach that all the time. You tell me to listen to other people's opinions. I'm entitled to my opinion. Well, why am I not entitled to my opinion? Why is it when I express my opinion, I'm suddenly this awful person?
Right.
And like I said, then everybody meets me. And what do they always say? I don't know why I ever had a problem with you in the first place.
I know, it's ridiculous.
I mean, it got old fast, though, I will tell you. It got old fast.
Yeah, I hear you.
I think that the judge, his nomination should have been withdrawn, but hey, he got confirmed, and I think that the people who voted for him can do so with a clear conscience. Granted, there are some who are going to say that more investigation was necessary, etc., and whether I agree or disagree isn't even the point. The point is the process was what the process was, and we have to trust the process to work.
And I would hope that if somebody else gets nominated and similar allegations are made against them, that they've learned something. The same process. Or at least
have learned something from this
right.
and do the investigation part that you talked about right away.
Right.
But see, that's one of the things, like you were talking about, like about Feinstein. The woman had the information since July, people.
Yeah.
Why did she wait until the hearing started to bring out the information? Like, really?
Right.
That's the part that's fishy to me.
I didn't know how old she was until I saw her picture today. That is an ancient woman.
Yeah.
You said she's going to run for president?
No, not her.
No, okay. That was somebody else.
Not her. Kamala Harris is going to run for president.
Oh, she's gross.
Anyway. I think Pretty Girl says it's hot. She's out and about. Huh, Pretty Girl? Are you out and about, my friend?
Now it's time to reveal the secrets on the Zoom Media Network.
Yep, remember, if you want to find out who we were talking about at the beginning, you got to listen to the Nightly Rant Uncensored.
At imzoo.com.
And it's probably going to be called To Be Continued or Being Continued, but look for that and you'll know which episode it is, because there's, I think, 3 of them up there right now. But imzoo.com and pay the subscription and you're in. Sound good?
Sounds good to me.
All right, well, I don't have much else to say tonight. I've already talked, 99.74% of this show. And I know
just 99.7% of the end part, because you have more to say about political things usually.
That's true.
Okay.
This is true.
I guess that means we'll see everybody on the other podcast. Good night, everyone.
Hasta luego. And I meant that because we have to see you on the other side.
Hi everyone, this is Mike, and I truly hope you enjoyed this show. You're able to subscribe to this show on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher so as to never miss an episode. If by chance you did miss an episode here or there, you can catch up on all shows, past and present, by heading over to yogispodcastnetwork.com/TNR show. Thanks for listening.